recording.
Good evening, everybody. Time mark is 5:37. I hope everyone has done their LEAC application or their CoC. If you're having trouble with it, please see me after the meeting and I will help you do your application online so that way we can streamline that. Other than that, let's call this meeting to order and let's get some stuff done. All right?
Thank you, sir. All right. So first up on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Has everyone had a chance to look over the consent agenda?
No, we can continue.
Any questions, any comments from anyone?
Oh, you're up there.
No? Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda. Can we get a second? Gary Small seconds. To approve the agenda?
Who was the first?
Me.
Oh, you got to call for the motion.
Oh, call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Gary.
Can we get a second? Jennifer, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Against? Any abstaining? Okay, motion approved.
Better. Good at this. You are. Get better. You know what? We are all learning as we go. Okay. So thank you all very, very much for that. Okay. Now up on the list, a quick review of applications. So I know that there were some questions about this, so I just want to be really, really clear, okay? There are now 2 applications that committee members must complete. The first one, we always had to complete. That's just the regular CoC membership application, which is available online. It costs $0 if you have experienced homelessness within the last 7 years, or you can apply for a scholarship and it will still cost $0, okay? Or if you want, you can pay $20, but that's not something that we require individual members do. When you are completing the application online, all you have to do, if you are not a lived experience member, so if, let's say, you experienced homelessness 8 years ago, you would not qualify for the lived experience type CoC membership because HUD requires that's within 7 years. But you would absolutely qualify for that individual community advocate membership. That does come with a $20 membership dues annually, but we do not require anybody who is unable to pay those. All you have to do is there's a little checkbox on the digital application. You just mark that, say, I want to apply for a scholarship. And if you are an individual member, I ask for no certification. I'm not asking for a bunch of follow-up. We go ahead and we grant that for individual members that ask for it. So that's the first application. It is available online and it's the same application that we filled out last year. The second application is, as we know, the committee application. And this is just to make sure that we are doing things in a little bit more of a organized fashion next year. And that we are making sure that we do have that group of folks as listed in the committee charter that have different experiences. So not everybody is going to come to this conversation or to these meetings with the same background, with the same experiences. And it's just to make sure that we have a more robust membership. And that is, of course, as determined in this committee's charter, which was, again, determined by this committee. So these aren't my rules, just to be clear. And we do have that application available digitally. So you can do it online if that's easier for you. To be honest, the digital application is a little bit easier for Megan and I, but that's okay. If you're not okay or not comfortable with the digital application, if you would rather do the paper application for this committee, you are welcome to do that. Megan has extra copies, so please just let us know if you need one. You can fill it out today and hand it to us here. Or if need be, you can fill it out throughout the month and go ahead and hand it to committee leadership, okay? And then if you still don't have an opportunity to do it by then, just bring it to the next membership meeting and we'll go ahead, or the next committee meeting, and we'll go ahead and we'll take it then too, okay? Any questions about our applications? Okay. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew, everybody had that opportunity to ask questions. I knew there were some. All right. Well, that was pretty quick. Moving forward then. Election. Okay. Megan's going to grab me a meeting packet as I do this. Okay. So now we're going to talk about elections. I know that we've talked about elections a few times in this room because we talked about them in December briefly so we could prepare for them in January. And then in January, the committee voted to push elections to this month so that we had a little bit more time to focus on it as a committee. So with that in mind, information about elections is available in the packet. You can look at, let's see, page 8, and that's where you will find some information about elections, okay? That has, of course, an overview of this committee, which is developed to assist the CoC board in developing and implementing strategic responses to issues impacting people experiencing homelessness. The purpose, can somebody let Megan, she's good. The purpose of this committee is to make an impact on the Pinellas Continuum of Care's policies, programs, and grant applications, and to drive efforts to end homelessness using unique experiences. Those were the that is not a determination that I'm going to make. Okay, everybody need a second. Shake it up. Shake it up. Okay. Okay. So again, the purpose of this committee to provide expertise, because I have news for you. Not everybody who works in this field, not everybody who works in homeless services is an expert in it. I wish we were, but as much as I like to pretend I am, I'm not. This is not my experience. I know a lot about it, but that doesn't make me an expert. So the purpose of this committee is to provide expertise to make an impact to the CoC's policies, programs, grant applications, and to drive efforts to end homelessness using unique experiences, lived experiences. So that's what we're doing here, okay? Leadership terms. Now, we're of course doing February through December for this one. So our co-chairs and our secretary for 2025 will serve from today to December 31st, or really until our first meeting of 2026. The co-chairs will be asked to attend CoC board meetings to help represent this committee at CoC board meetings. Now, co-chairs do have the advantage of having 2 members of this committee, our current co-chairs, on the CoC board of directors. So if, let's say, I'm the co-chair and I'm sick one day and I can't get to a meeting, good news, Mike and Gary are right there, and they are 2 people that I personally would trust to go ahead and give that update because they've been doing it for the last year, right? So that is a great news for whoever our leaders are, if they are Mike and Gary again or not. We do ask that the committee chair make a point to attend those meetings. They are every other month. Our next meeting will be March 7th. They are in person in Largo. We do have virtual opportunities to attend now. And those meetings are from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. first Friday of every other month, okay? So we do ask our co-chairs to participate in those so you can provide important committee updates and so that you can bring some stuff back from that group to this group, okay? Which again, Mike and Gary are always here to help with because they are wonderful, dedicated board members. Let's see, what else do we have going on here? Our co-chair, well, I have two co-chairs again. In the beginning of this committee, we talked about having a chair and a vice chair, but the committee voted to have two co-chairs, and these co-chairs will split the responsibility of chair. What does the chair do? The chairs are responsible for helping create and approve meeting agendas. Okay, so Megan and I aren't just deciding what we're all going to work on our own and then bringing it here. We are sharing this currently with Mike and Gary and Kat and saying, what do you think? What do you want to see on this? And they are helping provide materials and guidance for where this committee is going. So that's one of the things that we ask our co-chairs to do. We're also asking our co-chairs to lead meetings. And as our committee progresses, that leadership role will take over a larger and larger role. You will hopefully start hearing from me less and less because I don't know about y'all, I'm getting sick of hearing my voice. So I'd like to hand the mic over a little bit more. The co-chairs are asked to help ensure smooth communication and between committee members. That means acting as a bridge. If somebody needs to talk about what's going on in the committee, the co-chairs are asked to help play a role in that. Have that conversation, help recruit members, help ensure that we're going to have quorums for meetings. And then once we're in the meetings, there are, of course, things like calling the meetings to order, if you are the secretary, doing the consent agenda, and making sure that our meeting is set and runs well and on time. Sticking to schedule is important. Making sure that people are following Robert's rules, in that we are not interrupting each other, in that nobody is monopolizing the conversation too much, in that we are staying on target, on agenda. Those are the roles of our co-chairs, okay? Does anybody have any questions about what the co-chairs do in this committee? No? Is there anything else our current co-chairs would like to add about responsibilities? Or do you feel like we covered it?
That's coming.
Coming? Okay. Okay. Then let's see. For the secretary, presently, Megan is actually over here taking the notes. So our secretary has the advantage of not actually having to take the notes right now. And our secretary is, however, responsible for reading through those minutes and making sure that they line up with what you have going on as well. So if something is missed in the minutes, our current secretary, Ms. Kat McMillan, is actually that first line of defense to say, hey, Megan, I actually think that Charmaine was at the meeting and she's not included on the attendance list or something like that. And then to go ahead and call for the vote for the consent agenda. Additionally, the secretary is responsible for stepping in and leading meetings and taking over responsibilities if the co-chairs are unavailable. So let's say our co-chairs are unavailable to go to the board meeting. Something's going around, I guess, knock on wood. Gary's unavailable, Mike's unavailable. The secretary in that case would be asked to step in and attend that CoC board meeting to make sure the CoC board knows what's going on here in this committee. And I promise they ask every single month, or every other month, I guess, because we meet every other month. So those are the responsibilities of the secretary. Is there anything you would like to add, Ms. Kat?
Not at this time.
No? Okay. Do we have any questions about the responsibility of the secretary? No? Okay. Well, with that in mind, I will go ahead and I will open this up to nominations. We will start with the co-chair roles. Again, there are two co-chairs and one secretary, okay? The co-chairs and the secretary, if they have not already completed their 2025 CoC membership application and lived experience advisory committee application, they do have until the end of the month to get that done in good faith, okay? So we will take nominations. You can self-nominate, by the way. We will take nominations from the floor. The nomination will need a second. Once we have those seconds, we will hear from our nominees. So let's pretend, obviously, I am not a nominee, but let's pretend that I am for a moment. Let's say I'm nominated, I get a second. I then have 3 minutes to make my case to you, to tell you why I am the right person for this job. I also, if I have extra time in that 3 minutes, can accept questions from the group. Or I might say, hey, Jennifer, do you mind telling everybody why you think that I'm good for this? And then she could take some of that time. So that is how these 3 minutes will work, okay? You have 3 minutes to say really whatever you want. I just ask that you keep related to leading this committee and professional. But with all of that being said, does anybody have any questions about that process? Okay, once we hear from our nominees, we will go ahead and make a vote, okay? But first, we're going to start with nominations. So, do we have any nominations for the 2 roles of co-chair?
Throw my name in the hat first. I will self-nominate now. Throw my name in the hat first.
All right. Do we have a second to accept that nomination? Second for Kat? Excellent. Do we have another nomination? Because there are 2 seats.
I'd like to renominate Mike.
So that I don't have to move, I'm just going to do it for the record. Secretary Kat is renominating current co-chair Mike for the role of co-chair again, if he accepts that nomination. Mike, do you accept that nomination? It's a yay or nay. Do you accept this nomination?
I'll accept the nomination.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So, Pat has nominated Mike to serve again. Do we have a second for that? All right. Do we have any other nominations for the role of chair or co-chair? Well, this is feeling like it's going to be a quick vote. All right, gentlemen, it feels like a pretty straightforward vote, but if you'd like your 3 minutes, you are absolutely welcome to it. Who wants to go first?
Okay. Hello. I guess I will go first. I've done my best to demonstrate my abilities, trying to provide leadership for this committee, and will continue to do so. The only thing that I can really add is that I really am looking forward to this next year, because I want us to be more productive than we were last year. A lot of later on in the committee, I planned on discussing with people, and we're going to start conducting ourselves more professionally as a committee, and we're going to get a lot more done this year. At least it's my hopes.
Any questions for Co-Chair Small? All right. Mike, do you want to speak?
No.
You don't have to. Okay. All right. Oh, Charmaine.
Hi, my name is Charmaine. Yes, Gary, you said you wanted to do more productive, which I agree with you on that point. And, how are we all gonna go about that? Because it's like month to month. It's still the same. Why can't, like, you have some really great ideas and I hope you bring them out. Or I have a lot of great ideas too, that this body of people that do show up, we can add other things other than just this room to make a difference, if you know what I'm talking about. Because it's going to have to be done to bring this further into the loop to get things done. We might have to stand before judges, attorneys, whatever it takes. All of us, not just me, all of us.
That's the discussion I plan to have here.
Good.
Couple more spaces.
Okay, I'll pass the mic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a motion for Gary's nomination and a motion for Mike's nomination. Do we want, I think since we have two motions, we should accept these separately. So let's go ahead, and Gary was first. Let's do him first. All in favor of re-electing co-chair Gary Small? Aye. Any nays? Anybody want to abstain, which again just means you are neither voting yay or nay? All right, unanimous. All right, we now have a vote for our second co-chair slot. We do have a motion and a second to accept Mike's re-election or re-nomination. All in favor of accepting Mike's, that was a 3-minute timer. All in favor of accepting Mike's nomination to be co-chair for 2025, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? All right, unanimous. Excellent. That was less divisive than last year, I have to say. Okay, now we have our secretary. I will go ahead and accept nominations for the role of secretary now. Kat, put her hand up first, and then I'll come to you, Jennifer. Okay, so Miss Secretary Kat nominates Jennifer Hayscott. She does not look like she accepts that nomination. No.
I do not accept it. I appreciate it though, but yeah, no, it's not for me.
Is it just me, or did she like invite you to a party knowing you're up down there? That was just for the credit.
You have appreciate the vote of confidence.
Wait, you had your hand up too, though.
Oh, I was gonna renominate Kat. She did a really good job and she does a great job. And I know she will continue to do that.
Second that.
First, a second, and an accept. That was easy. Aw, and it was really nice. All right. Do we have any other nominations for secretary? I don't know why I sat back down. I'm about to ask you, Kat, if you want to speak for 3 minutes.
Not really.
No? Okay.
I mean, when they come in your year, I'm pretty sure everybody pretty much knows me. Yeah, even, you know, things I'd rather be different.
I had a feeling you were going to decline as well. All right. So Jennifer made the motion. Gary seconded to nominate Secretary Kat McMillan for her second term. Do we have any other nominations? Not hearing any. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Loving this unanimous vote on leadership, guys. This is smooth.
I said anything broke, don't fix it. Anything broke, don't fix it.
Excellent. On that note,
We are doing improvements, so.
that's Gary noted there, continuity is good. And that is one of the things I want to bring to this group later on in the year is talking about staggering our terms here for leadership. Now that we've had a full year under our belt, I think that it is worth this group considering. We don't need to have the discussion today. It's not an agenda item, but so that you can mull it over in between meetings. Extending terms to be 2 years and then staggering them so that we elect one co-chair 1 year and then one co-chair the next year to ensure continuity between leadership. So that is not something on the agenda today. It isn't something that we have to vote on today, but it is something that we'll want to consider in future for this group. So go ahead and mull it over. All right. I think we are probably really seriously ahead of the agenda here. All right. That took way less time than expected. Now we are going to talk about finalizing the interacting with law enforcement pamphlet. Everybody has a copy of this? in your packet. This is going to be pages 9 and 10. And as a reminder, once this group votes on this, it will go to the CoC Board of Directors for review and approval. Their next meeting is March 7th. So if we approve this today, it will be included in the March 7th meeting packet. That is my intention, to include it in the March 7th meeting packet, okay? So if, however, we have additional edits to make, then I will ask the group to really kind of decide at that point if we want to finalize it via email or if we want to bring it back for the March committee meeting. But we can come to that a little bit later. In the meantime, as we look at this packet,
hello, everyone. So my apologies, I did not have time to actually update the printed version. However, I did find out some information that was asked for by Mike last month. And that was recording, body cam recording, and if we're able to ask for a supervisor during a traffic stop. Okay. So I did some research. I went through every law enforcement agency in Pinellas County, and we figured out that most of them, yes, have body cams, which should be recording at all times. If they don't have a body cam, more than likely they have a dash cam, okay? I think there are only 1 or 2, I cannot remember off the top of my head, that did not have any recording devices. But I will write that up and send that information to you and add it somewhere in here. Secondly, I just found out from Lieutenant Hayes, who was here last month, that, let me get the actual email, you do have a right to ask for a supervisor. However, it is at the officer's discretion and her availability of said supervisor. So,
Take it when it counts.
yeah. And that is the answer I got from Lieutenant Hayes. And that is all I believe we had edits for from last month.
If I can add something to that on the comment of asking for a supervisor. If you are asking the officer to call a supervisor, you're taking away a lot of their discretion whether or not they're going to dig deep into your situation. Because see, if you call a supervisor, they're going to dig very deep because the supervisor is going to want to know, why am I being called out here? So if you did not have a situation, you now have one when you ask for the supervisor. So just be aware of that. And anybody that you talk to, advise them, really think before you ask about the supervisor clause. Because if you didn't have a situation or they weren't going to dig deep, they were just going to talk to you and just let you go. Now you're getting to bring a supervisor. Now they're going to dig deep because the supervisor is going to warrant me being called out here. You know, if they weren't looking for something, now they are. So you want to keep that in mind. You know, really make sure you have a reason to ask for a supervisor first. You know, I mean, they're human just like us. So just one more advice.
okay. So for that, hold on a second.
On this types of police interaction, I think it's not clear. I think we have to make clear there are situations is that when the person has called the police themselves, is that a consensual encounter? There's other situations where somebody has called the police on you and they show up. And they play like you don't know what they're after. And how does that fall into this category? Those are very clear situations.
Norm, if you call the police and they come to assist you, that's an investigative stop.
That's an event when you call.
When you call them to assist you,
Okay,
they are on an investigative stop.
okay,
If they stop to speak to you because there's something going on in the area,
yeah,
that's an investigative stop.
okay,
They're the same in the computer.
okay. Now, when somebody else has called the police on you and they come and surprise you, you don't know. You don't know who called, they don't reveal that to you. That's all opaque. What is that considered?
That is also an investigative stop, and they do not have to tell you who called them. They do have to inform you why they were called.
Oh, they
And it's-
do?
Why, not who. They have to inform you why they were called,
Why?
not who called them.
I had a situation where they did not, I could go. They played dumb.
Well, they may not have
And
known
in
who
a case
called.
like that, what do I have to say? You tell me, why have you come here?
Hold on. Can I interject real quick?
Yes.
Norm, the question that you are asking is a good question, but it is getting a little bit far into actual legal advice, which we cannot give.
I know. Yeah.
So we can't actually answer that question either here in the meeting or in the pamphlet. I would have to direct you to an attorney for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
Okay.
save. No, good.
All right.
All right.
Anything? Okay. Awesome. Thank you. That's okay. So my proposal for the asking for a supervisor, okay? If you look at page 9, the box where it says tips for interacting with law enforcement, I want to add a bullet point to that, okay? That says you may, and I would like to underline or bold may, as we have with not in other listings, you may request a supervisor. Supervisors will be deployed at the officer's discretion. Let me know what you think of that language, if you think that there is a way to improve it. You may, underline may, request a supervisor or ask for a supervisor. Supervisors will be deployed at the officer's discretion. Do we have any edits to or questions about that language?
I kind of want it like the, you may request the supervisor, maybe add some type of language, if you feel unsafe.
How about at any time?
Because didn't that,
Hold on.
Well, if it's like escalated.
I feel like if we say at any time, it kind of opens a door. There are people that will try and waste time or be frivolous because they think the longer it takes, the more tired the officers are going to get, and they're going to get sick of this and cut me loose. I think that opens a lot of doors for that. I mean, me personally, unless I'm covered in someone else's blood, we don't need a supervisor. But I just feel like we have enough people who have issues with officers for whatever reasons. And letting them think that they just have free reign to call supervisors out for just anything. I don't know if I'm okay with that.
So not at any time. So
I mean, I realize at times a supervisor does need to be called, but usually the officer knows when that is necessary.
What's that wording now?
as needed.
As needed, you may request the supervisor as needed, or, again, if you feel like a situation has arisen or you feel unsafe, or you don't feel comfortable with that officer and his behavior.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in a situation where there is no body cam
Yeah.
and there is no dash cam, either one for a reason, I think I might want a supervisor. you know?
So follow-up questions for the purposes of making sure that we get this down as the committee wants. For the sake of space, we want to make sure that we are being judicious with the words that we use. So we want to make sure we are considering the words carefully,
Yes.
also for the sake of making sure that we aren't giving legal advice. I definitely, I hear this and I want to make sure that we're incorporating this. I just want to make sure we're doing it in a way that the committee is comfortable with, that will fit into what we have here. So you may ask for a supervisor. Do we have other suggestions other than as needed? Something to kind of combine as needed, if you feel unsafe, if you feel as though the situation warrants it, if you're uncomfortable, if you feel at risk.
Maybe if you feel under duress.
Yeah, the duress.
Okay. Do we have any other thoughts about that or about other things?
Intimidated, under duress.
Exactly.
I mean,
Like Pat said, if you're uncomfortable, you're under duress, you get intimidated, you don't know which end is up, and you've got it coming at you, then I would. I mean, if there's not a body cam, you're not being recorded or whatever for any reason. And you can speak that out into the atmosphere to the officer. And yet, yes, you can at that time request a supervisor, and I would in that situation, me personally. Yeah.
Oh, Jessica.
If I can add something.
Yep.
I think under the duress, a lot of people have a problem with police officers right off the bat. So them being under duress is kind of a given.
yeah,
I think wording more, if you feel in a threatening manner or your safety is in question with yourself, would probably be a better wording, because most people, even people with some kind of, dare I say, mental concerns, would be under duress just being in front of an officer. So we don't really want to pay people to frivolously start doing this and start requesting this. They're liable to take a small situation where the officer just wants to check you out, let you go on your way, and go about what they gotta do, and turn it into something that is gonna cause a problem.
that's my concern about bringing up the supervisor issue to begin.
Exactly.
To even begin with.
Yeah, I mean, if I was a single woman, it's a dark, there's no body cam, and the officer was acting or making comments that made me feel unsafe as a woman, yeah, that might be, or ask for a female officer.
That's your better bet.
And now you
because
don't have to have a supervisor.
honestly, like Victoria said, requesting a supervisor, that's up to the officer's discretion
Yeah.
anyway. So, I mean, just,
Automatically deciding you want to request a supervisor, it could make things really harder for you. You know? And I mean, okay, I've had a lot of encounters with police. And I think in all the years, there's only been a supervisor on scene one time. And it was at the officer's discretion. And I really don't think it made a lot of difference. Except maybe it kept the officers in check. You know?
Snowballing.
Yeah, but it was a major situation.
Yeah.
So instead of adding, like, you may request a supervisor, how about you may request an officer of the opposite sex to be,
Additional officer.
or additional officers. Like if it's a woman, you know, you would want another woman officer there.
I don't know if you can request additional, any male officer, when they're speaking with a female, usually they automatically request a female officer.
Yeah.
That's been my experience.
I've always had a female officer show up. You know? I mean, if they were gonna frisk or search or arrest, they've always made sure there was a female officer there. Didn't have to ask.
Also an established policy for them to bring in a female officer because obviously they can't search you, they can't, they
Exactly.
have to bring in. But he doesn't have to be a supervisor. If you feel
Right.
uncomfortable being a woman and it's dark and you don't see a body cam, request a female officer. At least
Sure.
then in that way you're not elevating it, bringing in a supervisor.
Sure.
You're not elevating the situation,
I'm just saying nowadays, if you're a woman, usually a female officer is automatically requested.
Typically.
Yeah.
Typically, as I understand it, for most of the police agencies I deal with, yes,
Mhm.
typically, yes. Of course, this could even extend into the LGBT community. If they've been uncomfortable with one officer, ask for another officer.
Yeah.
So it all depends on the situation.
I know they don't usually make an arrest without additional support anyway.
Yeah, usually there's always backup.
Yeah.
That's kind of a given.
So what do we think?
I'm good with that so far.
Anyone else want to chime in?
Anyone else?
Okay, so what I have right now, okay, please correct me because I know that what I have right here isn't what we want to go with. But what I have right now is a little bit wordy. You may request a supervisor or additional officers if unsafe/uncomfortable. Supervisors are only deployed at officers' discretion. And in that case, I am bolding and underlining may. You may request a supervisor, and I am underlining and bolding only. They are only deployed at the officer's discretion.
And if available.
And if available. Okay, so what if in that case, we just say you may request a supervisor or additional officers, and then semicolon, will only be deployed at officer's discretion / if available.
Yeah, because they base it on the situation. If the officer has no intention of arresting you, they don't need another officer.
Okay, so because we've had so much conversation about this, I think it would be best if we had a vote on this language, if that's okay with everybody. So what we have right here, and the motion would be either to accept this or to make a change to it. So go ahead and make a change if you want one. But what we have is you may request a supervisor or additional officers, semicolon, only deployed at officer's discretion / if available.
Took out we took out the reasoning for calling the supervisor or additional officers.
We did take that out for the sake of space and because we're now underlining and bolding only to make it a little bit more clear that they are only coming under those circumstances. But that's just what I have. That doesn't mean that's what we're doing. So if you want to make a motion to put that, if you want to suggest putting that back in or anything like that, please do. This is not my document. This is your document. I just want to make sure it's how you want it to be.
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm pretty happy with the way it sounds. We can't get into too much detail because then we're giving legal advice. But I'm pretty happy with the way that we've amended it now.
I'm worried about people taking it as legal advice,
Yeah.
just being written, period.
Yeah.
Okay. Need to talk about this then. Let's do this one, then I have another one. First things first.
You can put on there, this is not legal advice.
I'm thinking right here, Charmaine.
Yeah. Full disclosure.
Yes.
Yes. Your disclaimer.
Right.
Disclaimer.
Okay, yeah.
That was a good.
I mean.
Charmaine and I are just right here right
I
now.
know. The tips for interacting with law enforcement that we're currently have in the box. The tips that we currently have listed that are already in the box are on every attorney's website. They're published freely. It's general information. And I really feel like adding anything to those specifically about situations. Everybody's situation is different. And supervisors are called out by officers for really important situations. And I'm sorry, but if you're in that situation, you pretty much know you can request a supervisor. Or if you should or if you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just feel like it's information that's just gonna get misconstrued.
So are you motioning to exclude this language entirely?
Well, I'm not sure because I want Jennifer to think about it some more.
Okay.
I agree with you. I agree with you, like, you know, like, they don't, because, you know, how, like, stuff, you know, with people and things that we tread.
You can type the mic.
But yeah, I agree with Kat, but that just makes it more, you know, easily to be either used or misconstrued, misunderstood, and stuff like that, and hopefully people know that they do have rights for their own protection.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
I agree.
that's my worst fear is that some people are gonna see that and just, it's just gonna open a can of worms for them, you know?
Right, I agree, so we can scratch it.
Yes, so I'd like to table a motion. That we keep it just like it is.
How does everybody else feel about that? Any discussion points?
I'll agree to table it. It'll give us time to think about it more.
So to be clear, when you say table it, you mean talk about it at another meeting or remove it entirely? Because I thought that
I
you,
think we should remove it entirely.
okay, Gary, you just suggested thinking about it some more, so.
Further discussion, I think I misunderstood what Kat meant.
Yeah,
You're talking about striking it.
I just wanna keep it the way it is,
Okay,
because we wanna get this approved.
all right. I will second that because
We've been doing this a long
this,
time.
this needs to get out there.
Yes, we've been doing this way longer than I ever
September.
planned. Yeah,
So, yeah, I will second any motion she has for leaving it as it is. Let's keep it simple. Dan?
we're not ready.
No, we can.
Okay.
As far as the first one, stay calm. Maybe that might just be like simpler for other people, but I would think, be respectful. So everybody knows respect. I didn't know if that would be.
If you don't know to be respectful to a police officer, you might wanna go ahead and go to jail.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Instead of saying, stay calm, do not raise your voice, be respectful, do not raise your voice, and do not use aggressive.
What about it?
Never mind. We could just do, say, stay calm. I just thought be respectful would be,
You shouldn't have to tell people to be respectful to police officers, not if they're grown.
I don't think.
Well,
What I'm reading is really good advice, but there's always gonna be those individuals, maybe myself, maybe you, who for any given reason, something happens. All of a sudden, here comes the police. Do you understand what I'm upset? I'm crying, I cannot calm down. All those things come into factor with this right here. How are you gonna stay calm when something potentially could have happened to me or another individual? So there's gonna be that but in there as well.
Okay, first of all, I'd like to state that this is general information. This is not giving anyone advice. These are general informative tools for you to understand how police officers expect to be dealt with and for you to be able to communicate with them should you actually have an interaction. There are different types and there are different ways to deal with them. So this is just general information. It's not advice.
That's not what my point was. My point was there is that I'm just trying to work and read what I'm reading here.
Oh, yeah.
Comprehend
You hand the microphone. Thank
that. I understand that. I comprehend every bit of this here, but there is gonna be that situation. For it at any given time, you don't know what's gonna happen to you tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. And you never know. I've had it happen to me. You never know what situation you're gonna be placed in, an uncomfortable situation or whatsoever. The best advice is to stay calm, like it said, but there might be that time where you cannot stay calm for any given reason. Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. There is that but.
I mean, all you can do is try to stay calm. Me personally, I'm not a panicker, so.
I was just going, I don't need that, I can be heard.
No. We start. Okay, everybody's
Still talking, Stan.
hold on a second. I'm gonna go ahead and do a little reminder because it's not just about who can be heard. I am loud as Hades. But it is about making sure that one person's talking at a time and everything, and that we are accommodating absolutely everybody. So just because one person can hear doesn't mean everybody can hear. So only speak if you have the microphone, and we've been a little bit off about that today, myself included, but let's go ahead and get back to that, please. I know you had a question as well, but he's gonna go first, then you, okay?
I was just about to add, perhaps the better way to put it would be don't panic. You know, just because you're saying from an officer, and yeah, you have the potentially to go to jail, but don't make panic and create a situation when you're not in one. Go ahead, Norman.
Yeah.
It's on.
One thing is they can come to you like and say, what's up? What's going on? Gee, it's a good response. You tell me.
Yes.
I'm not gonna
Why
hold you
are
there.
you here? What was that? That's a way of not incriminating yourself and turning it over, to them. I think a statement like that should be in here, because you don't have to ask, you don't have to say anything that would tend to incriminate you. That's how I feel. Okay.
I agree with you that is a good way to avoid incriminating yourself or making an officer mad. I do 100% agree with you. I'm going to say that we can't put that in here because that's a little bit too close to legal advice. Telling people actually go ahead and say this, that will help you avoid getting into trouble. That's us dipping our toe a little bit too far into attorney water. And I don't know about y'all, I am not an attorney. A married one, my brother's one, but I am not one. I am surrounded by them. But unless they started giving out attorney degrees or law degrees in hospitality school, which is what I went to, then no, we not an attorney, can't put that in there, unfortunately. But I do agree with you in spirit. That is good advice. Let's be as congenial, as nice, as respectful, as calm, as not panicked as possible. And hey, how you doing? Calm, my hands are out of my pocket. I'm not shaky, I'm not jittery. I'm just, hey officer, how you doing? Hope you're having a good day. Personally, from a non-attorney's point of view, great idea. Great idea. And maybe there is some language, maybe maybe stay calm, and maybe that respectful is that way to kind of incorporate that. So stay calm, comma, respectful. And I know that that might seem like a basic instruction, but stay calm and keep your hands out of your pocket are pretty straightforward too. So, do you feel, Norm, as though adding Jennifer's suggested be respectful would cover that? Do you feel comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'd always be respectful. That's important. And, try not to say anything which, would, show a little, anger or anything
Yeah,
against them. Right. And try to diffuse the situation in a sense, right? By giving an innocuous answer or comment to them, right? Which would, where they would have to maybe ask another question or whatever. Okay, that's right.
Okay. Awesome. I think that that's some good guidance. So to that end, then, I'm going to circle back to the stay calm, respectful, do not raise your voice, and do not use aggressive language. Are we all comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. The other suggestion or thing that we had was insert information about recordings and body cams. Now, my suggestion here, since currently most municipalities are using some type of recording devices, and this can always change. The municipalities that are not using them may start using them in future. My 2 cents on how I would write this in here would be something along the lines of under the recording police. I think that that's the appropriate place to say where they are recording you. And my suggestion is underneath where we have the ACLU source code, go ahead and write in there. The majority of law enforcement, or the majority of Pinellas law enforcement uses body cam and or dash cam. And will record interactions. Very short statement. The majority of Pinellas law enforcement agencies use body cam or dash cam and may record interactions. Discussion?
One question about them using the dash cam. 9 out of 10 times, they're not talking with you on the front of the vehicle. So adding the comment about the dash cam, I don't see how that would be beneficial. Because typically they're gonna pick up more on the body cam than they would off the dash cam.
Because some of us are in a car.
Yeah.
You're in the car in front of their car?
If you're pulled up.
If I'm pulled over, yes, I am.
Typically they'll have them out of the vehicle, but okay.
No, they won't. That is not typical. They don't want you coming out of the car.
I'm friends with a few police officers, and when you see them pull somebody over, they run their plates, they do not get out. They actually wait till they're told that it's safe for them to step out. If you drive in all of Pinellas County, it does not matter where you live. We have homeless people walking through right where we live, and I kid you not. We have police calling them out. We have security officers. It's everywhere now, and it's just getting worse. But the police officers, I've witnessed them myself. They take a while. They don't get out right away. They're running their tag, trying to get all the info on that individual. And a lot of times they'll get back up before they do get out.
They want to know who's supposed to be driving the car before they encounter you.
This recording police, how would that even,
This right here.
what happened? Oh, you're recording on a phone? Okay. I'm not that familiar with, I just got, okay. Because you would have to have some, it can happen instantly, they show, and how would you be prepared with something? Of course,
Now I'm recording.
oh, okay, all right. I'm just-
No, it's
Yeah.
a question.
I'm not that familiar with the phone, I just got, I have to learn more, okay, I understand, yeah, okay.
Yeah. By the way, Norm, it's okay. It took me a hot minute to figure out how to do that so quickly.
So, the middle part where it talks about has the officer consented to being recorded, so we have to ask the officer. No matter where we're at, if they consent to being recorded.
So I am not an attorney, but I will tell you that in Florida, you do have to have consent to record people in the state of Florida. So yes, you do. That's why, if you call a call center, they'll say this call is being recorded.
Yeah.
It is because Florida is one of the states that requires we inform people if they are being recorded. I know this because I used to work at a call center. Yes, and that is the ACLU's advice. That is not our advice, so we are passing it along to people here. That was advice from the ACLU.
Okay, because I was just wondering where, because the top part was the recording police. It says you have the right to record police when you're in an open public space,
So here's, again,
which kind of,
not an attorney. Here's how recording typically works, okay? If you are in a public space with no reasonable expectation of privacy, and you do not, having somebody up in your face like this recording you is a little bit different. But let's say we're all at a park and I'm recording the park. I don't need to ask every individual person that I'm recording if they are consent to be in my video, because by being in the park, that is a public place with no reasonable expectation of privacy. However, let's say I'm in your home, or I call you, or I come up to your vehicle. That's somewhere you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So it would be completely not okay for me to start recording you without your consent there. So if you are having a direct interaction with somebody, then we want to go ahead and we want to have that consent. If though we're just videotaping the beach, then we don't need to get consent for that. Does that make sense? Okay.
Now, right, it says, public space. That's not true on a private property, is that correct? Suppose it's, you know what I mean, like somebody's front lawn or something?
People have a reasonable expectation of privacy in their private property. I do not expect somebody to record me when I am in my home. And if you record me in my home without my consent, I will have something to say about it. So yes, absolutely. It's basically, the anti-camping law, public spaces. If it's a private space, if the police can't come up to you and be like, hey, why are you sleeping on this lawn? Because they said I could. That's a private space. I would have to say, do you consent to me recording you? And you could say, absolutely not. Go away. And that's okay. However, if you happen to be, let's say, using that example of sleeping again, if you are sleeping in a park and I'm recording the park, I do not have to ask you for consent to be in that recording, even though you're asleep. And it is really uncomfortable and honestly not a thing that I love. That's a thing. This is a thing that makes me uncomfortable to even suggest hypothetically. So know that I'm not doing this to anybody. But because you are in a park, unless I come and I open your tent, if you are sleeping openly, let's say on a bench and I'm recording the park, I would not have to ask for your consent because that is a public place. and you have no reasonable expectation of privacy. That does not apply to your home, to your car, to the bathroom, to the shower, to your friend's home. If you are having a private conversation somewhere, that's a little different. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy. But if you are in a public location, then that is a little bit different. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It is confusing, so I want to make sure. And again, I'm not an attorney, so don't take this as legal advice. Disclaimer, asterisks on all of this. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns, discussion points about recording, or do we want to talk about the language that we've suggested one more time so that we can? Not hearing anything, I'm just going to go ahead and read it out. The majority of Pinellas law enforcement agencies use dash/body cams and may record interactions. Questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. The other one that we talked about adding, Charmaine and I were just really quick to this. Up at the front.
Yeah.
Right in the open space.
Yeah.
Of course, Megan and I will play with it to make sure that it looks as pretty as possible. But some verbiage, which I'm actually just going to ask an attorney for. I'm not, if it's okay with everybody, I'm just going to ask an attorney to give me a statement that we can put on the front of this that makes it really clear that this is not legal advice.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to ask for legal advice to make sure we're not giving legal advice.
Exactly. We need a disclaimer.
Okay.
That would be really smart.
Yes, I have a feeling the COC board, I'm just thinking about it and they're already going to be more comfortable. Can't believe it took us this long to get there, but hey, that's why we have processes. This is exactly why we do this, because this flyer did not look like this when we first started talking in September or even in October. And I know it's taken a while, but the best things usually take some time, right? Rome wasn't built in a day. So here we are. All right. Any other discussion points or anything like that that we'd like to talk about for this flyer or for this pamphlet? Give you a minute to review and consider.
And then stay calm.
Yes, so stay calm, respectful, do not raise your voice, and do not use aggressive language. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, so what Megan and I are going to do from here is we are going to ask this committee to take a vote to approve this, noting that Megan and I will draft this up, and within the next week, we will share it with the entire group via email, and we will ask our co-chairs and our secretary to give a final sign-on. So I'm going to ask this group here to, if you want to, if you're comfortable with it, of course, go ahead and approve this with the note that final approval will be up to the co-chairs and the secretary, because Megan and I want to make sure that we don't just add things to this that y'all are uncomfortable with. And so the idea there would be Megan and I will send this out within the next week. So by, the end of the day on Thursday, you'll have this in your inbox. The group will put a date there, maybe till Wednesday of the next week to provide feedback if there's any additional feedback. And then our co-chairs and our secretary will give final approval before this goes to the board of directors. Does anybody have any questions about that process, or is anybody uncomfortable with that as a process? Just really want to make sure that Megan and I are not doing any final determinations. Okay, so if everybody's comfortable with that, then Madam Secretary, this is your baby. Do you want to?
Can we get a motion to approve? I guess we're gonna vote.
Can you say the motion names for the record?
Gary,
Gary Small, motion for approval.
Okay.
can we get a second motion?
Second.
make a motion.
All right,
Dan? All right.
Everybody in favor? Against?
Yes.
Any abstention?
Mary, do you want to abstain?
I'm going to the bathroom.
Okay, we're voting right now. Do you want to abstain or do you want to vote?
Said aye.
Okay, perfect. Just need to make sure.
Good.
Need to make sure we left. Okay.
Okay,
And John should.
You sound like we committed to the bar.
motion approved.
All right, y'all. I know that that was a lot of work. But I'm really grateful for the amount of work and the amount of thought that went into this project. I know that this, some folks feel like this should have been finished a little while ago, but again, that's the process. And these conversations make sure that we really flesh it all out. Now, Megan and I, again, we will update this. We will send it out to you. We will get final approval from Mike, Gary, and Kat. And assuming we get that final approval, we will ask the chair, the COC chair, to add this to the March 7th COC Board of Directors agenda.
Okay.
Okay? And at that time, Mike and Gary will be asked to present this. I will be there to help, of course. But Mike and Gary will present this on your behalf. If there's anybody else who would like to attend that meeting, either virtually or in person, to help present or to listen in, you are more than welcome to. The details for that meeting are available on our calendar. And of course, you can always ask Megan and I for it after the meeting, and we will make sure anybody who wants it has that information as well. Okay, so give y'all just like a round of applause or something, because achieving something, passing something, that counts. We held an election today. We passed a pamphlet today. I mean, come on, be excited, y'all.
Yeah, this took a minute.
Yay!
Took a bit.
All right. Before we move on to public comment, or I guess as part of public comment, I'm going to start if that's okay. We have a mental health first aid training coming up March 12th. This is a certificate course. So this is, for instance, if you are looking to add something cool to your resume, a really good opportunity to add something cool to your resume. You could do it from here in the library because it is a virtual course. So this is going to be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Wednesday, March 12th. Good, I'm glad that was a Wednesday and I wasn't wrong. Registration ends the 19th. So you must register by the 19th in order to be included in this class. But it is 100% free, normally $125, 100% free to all COC members. So if you're looking for something cool to put on your resume, or if you're really excited about mental health, this is a really, really good opportunity. You will have a professional certificate. Again, the class is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. There is also 2 hours of free coursework, and it is 100% free. Thank Megan, she arranged this with St. Pete College. And we will make sure that we send that information out via email as well. Of course, it is also on the community calendar.
That's. Thank you very much.
Is the registration date, and then March 12th is the event date. Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, everybody. I have softened up my speech for tonight considerably because we've been doing a lot better job. I'm hoping that this next year that we can get a lot more done than we did with last year. One of the couple points I want to point out is when we're having open discussions or a topic discussion, I'd like to see more people get the mic versus 4 or 5 main people, because we're missing a lot of other viewpoints. You know, we want to work as a collective, as a group. 4 or 5 people doing all the talking isn't really helping out our discussions. So I'd like to see us get to, also, it's kind of ironic, it came up, I was looking forward this year with this how to deal with the police officer pamphlet, of being able for us to get some of those in our hand and network out. Because we all have homeless friends and people that we talk to. What better way to get work if we can get you versed enough on this where you can go out and talk to people and advocate. More of a one-on-one with the homeless community. After all, that's why we're here, right? All right, so I'm kind of hoping that we can, excuse my description of it, but get ourselves more of a professional committee type actions and get some more done this year than we did last. Last year, we were kind of growing. Okay, we've been active for a year and a half now, Kat?
Yeah.
Year and a half. We've had more than enough time to learn. You know, we need to stay on topic on our discussions. When we have a discussion, you know, I want to hear from more people than just 4 or 5 main people. And during these discussion topics, you can ask for the mic twice according to Robert's rules. After that, you gotta let other people talk. Because what we're doing is we're missing other viewpoints, which are valuable in our discussion. You know, everybody wanted to be in the committee. Okay, the committee is a valuable, it's an honor and a privilege to be here. We're on a platform where our voice as advocating for the homeless community will actually be heard by state, federal, and government agencies, including some of the municipalities. So this is an honor and privilege to be here. So, you know, let's make the most of this. You know, I'm searching for the words because my entire speech has been scrambled because we actually covered most of what I was going to say tonight. So I'm very proud of the way tonight went. We were still a little staying to a couple people, but I heard more voices than I normally do. And I'm glad about that. You know, I want diversity. I want to hear different people's viewpoints because that opens more doors and we get to cover it more. But see, it's also important that we learn about this pamphlet because unless we really have a good grounding about what it's about and when the information in it, how can we advocate outward? How can we take it out? You know, like I want to be able to give each people so many, you know, flyers. Those to take it out and we can just talk with other people on a one-on-one basis, whether it be at Trinity or up at another place or wherever we run into the homeless community. We can't do that unless we have the right tools. We need to know about the topic we're talking about. If we don't have the right tools, then it's gonna be nothing but failure. And that's not why any of us are here. At least that's why I'm not here. You know, I'm not here to fail. So, and I understand some people, you know, might not be as passionate about things as others, but we can still all do something. So I'm very glad tonight that we actually took the time and we heard from more than one people, but you know, according to Robert's rules, during an open discussion, you know, you can only get the mic really twice. Now, tonight was the exception. We were actually amending the flyer. So that was okay, but we want to try and stay away from that. You know, the same people every time, you know, talking and nobody else getting a word in edgewise. You know, we can't have that. You know, we need diversity and we need to work as a collective, not as a room of individuals, as a collective. Because I want to get stuff done this year. You know, I'm trying to help the HLA and homelessness now, not for my great grandkids. Now. So it's going to take work, it's going to take dedication, and it's going to take some hard work. And I appreciate all the hard work that Kat put into that flyer. That took a whole lot of research and looking stuff up, you know? So actually I'd probably see a couple extra right here now. But tonight we functioned as I always wanted us to, as a committee, you know, different people, different viewpoints. not just someone captivating, but also need to stay on topic. Like for instance, we had the vice chair of the HLA here. And he's fielding stuff about like personal legal information, and we're supposed to be talking about the anti-camping law. We had Lieutenant Heiss here, and he spent the whole time defending the policies at Safe Harbor. We're supposed to be using that information to boost our knowledge, so that way we can send you out there to advocate and to talk to people. It was I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but I am. Heiss flew in for our meeting. He wasn't even around here. They had to fly him in. So, we're very blessed, and it's a privilege that both men took their time out to come and join us to explain it to us. But we need to stay focused. If nothing more, that agenda is our list of tasks. And if we're not getting our tasks done, what are we doing? We're failing at what we're here for. And I don't like to see that. And that's probably some strong words, probably a lot softer than I was intending, but I'm hoping that we can be a lot more productive this year and let's get some stuff done. Okay? And I hope I didn't say anything too harsh, but as I said, I'm hoping that this year we're going to get a lot more done. I'm really looking forward to us, showing him, a difference. So anyway, that's all I have to add in the open discussion. Anyone else want to?
I have a question. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Co-chairs and Madam Secretary, if lived experience advisory committee members have goals for this committee or items for the agenda, is it okay if they bring these to you for consideration?
Just about everybody here has my personal phone number. I am at your disposal.
Yes.
I'm at your disposal almost 24/7. You have my personal phone number. At any time, you can call me and go, hey, Gary, I'm very passionate about what we're doing and I'm 100% in. So if you have an idea or something, as Victoria mentioned, call me and I will pass it up the chain of command. Okay? But that was the whole idea of me getting everybody's number and giving everybody my number. Is I wanted to make sure that, you have access. But not just showing up at committee and then, that's the only way we're going to get anything done.
I missed the first part of your comment, but I did want to also mention that we did miss 2 meetings. There were like 2 monthly meetings that we missed during the summer. So that kind of like put a damper on us being able to do things too as well. So, a little more compassion, and we are still new,
The other stuff is more, because that happens consistently every meeting, not just those 2. It was for instance, in the last 12 months, do I need to have a mic? In the last 12 months, I have personally stood up here. The night we elected him onto the executive committee, I stood up here and said, stay on topic. And I explained that. In the last 12, and I checked, in the last 12 months, I've stood up here 10 times in the last 12 months and said the same thing. Victoria, bless her heart, has probably done at least 8 times in the last year. So there's 18 times in 1 year that you've been reminded, we need to stay on topic, people. We need to focus on what we're doing. All right? We have a rare opportunity. It's an honor and privilege to be here. We're all adults. We want this function in a committee mannerism. This is the same mannerism that all our government operate on. All right? And 200 years ago, our forefathers had a perfect phrase. United we stand, divided we fall. If we're not all working together, we're fighting ourselves. You know, so, there you go. You can have this one.
I was gonna tell you something.
Anyway, that's all, people. If anyone has anything else they want to add during the public comment, I'll hand you the mic. Anyone? Don't be back.
For the sake of time, I just want to let everybody know that if you do have to go, because it is after 7, just quietly come on up as we're doing this, and Megan and I will give you your stipend.
Like, I like what Victoria said about you, in particular, you three, having, if you want to do the mental health thing. But my question is, I've already done that. From my mind of what I was involved with before, and it was free. And I didn't learn it in 7 hours. It was a couple hours a day, once a week. And then it became twice a week. And I'm hoping everyone, because we're gonna be like the boots on the ground, basically, is what you want us to be. Huh?
Are you talking about the training program?
Right. It should be, everyone here should learn the mental health things. But even though you guys have that opportunity, 7 hours is a long time to sit at one given time.
It is.
What I did it in a couple hours, like every other week. And a lot of places will be very helpful in letting you go in, and they openly discuss it. These are nurses, doctors that do this for free. And you don't have to do it online. You can go to a facility as a group.
All right. Will the nurses, doctors give you a tangible certificate? A legal document?
No,
Certified
that's a whole different realm, but it is important if all of us together as a group understand mental health issues because of.
I agree.
We need to understand all of it.
Right.
That way we can compose ourselves when we're approached in a difficult situation with somebody that's homeless or, or it's uneasy. We have to be the,
I agree.
So those are just ideas I'm putting forward.
Right, we probably all can't commit to that day and that time frame. Perhaps we could add additional
I
days.
vote for Ron. He's got very smart ideas, but he does not open his mouth. So there's Jack, and I have a feeling him too. Yes, I
He
do.
is actually on the board of the HOA.
He's a very nice man.
Right.
I already know. I was gonna vote for you, by the way.
But see, that's
You still may. in the
why
future.
I'm encouraging people to have
Exactly,
like.
not to give up and just to keep, like, I have his number. So I have his number, I have Victoria's number, so I know I can call, and that's really helpful. To make everybody here feel comfortable, not uneasy. That's it, that's all I gotta say. And I thank you all for what I'm learning, because I'm learning here.
And I forgot that, and I'd like to thank you all this time for a very productive night.
Yeah, it really, I feel.
And I think Victoria can agree with me. It's been very productive, very smooth.
Very smooth.
And it's basically what I was hoping for. So thank you. Anytime you have that. Yes, I will. And on that note, the time mark is 7:06. Sorry about it going a little late, but I'm calling this meeting adjourned.
Awesome. Okay, all right.